moving through the House. Because we're sort of the engine. Everything sort of starts and moves, even though there's 435 of us, it moves much faster than it does in the Senate. And that's a purposeful process. The Senate's supposed to take a look at our ideas and really think about whether or not they can be done. And our idea, we're with the engines, we're just generating, they're deciding where we go. Mm-hmm. All right, that's how that system works. The administration really has not given us a whole lot of stuff because they're in their transition. That's fair. They make appointments, they determine their priorities, they figure out where they are. We just got the budget there. That's timely. I mean, there's been a lot of complaints, we didn't get it earlier, but that's timely. I worry very much about that budget. So I'm concerned that there has not been enough time to think about ways in which we could have more bipartisan legislation. I'm hoping we're going to get there because, every administration, so now I'm not going to pick on the Trump administration. There was a lot of complaints that every president, Bush and Obama included, that you use your honeymoon period to get everything that you want, and then it sort of falls out from there. I don't love the way in which Congress, both sides, have thought about obstructionism as a way to move forward. Now I'm gonna couch that a little differently. It works, and it gets people to slow up and think about it. So I'm struggling in this political climate in our country, and I'm trying to find a way. Did anybody watch this? It certainly has political aspects that I think are both positive and maybe negative, but I think it's an important thing. And they're young, 2 young members of Congress, a gentleman both from Texas. One of them in my class, Beto O'Rourke, who I admire greatly, who's running for the Senate. So he's going to do a lot of stuff like this because you need people to pay attention to. That's how voters vote. We couldn't get to Congress on Tuesday because of the storms, so they canceled it. But this text had said, I'm going to drive to Washington, D.C. with a Republican, Congressman Bill Hurd. Okay, now the political problems here for them, I just want to point these out, just to give you a glimpse about why it's so darn hard and it should not be. Both members caught hell from their political parties because they're making each other look good, right? And Republicans want Beto O'Rourke out of that seat because that's one less no. And Democrats, and Bill Hurd's in what they call a tougher district. Well, we want him out of his seat. So we don't want those 2 to look like they're working together or be friends. That's not a good political design. But it's the right design. They spent, 10 hours, 12 hours in a car together, and this is what they did. They Facebooked it live, I called them, and they asked you, tell us about your bipartisan work. And if you were going to be in the car with someone on the other side of the aisle, who would it be and why? Because they want Americans to think about ways to force us to work together. Because if we do more of this divide, whoever is president, whoever it is going to get hamstrung in a way that's not productive for everybody else. And the difference, I think, here is there's some real questions that have been identified that we need to get to that I think are giving people in this country not very good confidence about oversight. And if all the things are answered in favor of Trump, then folks like me have to be tough enough and courageous enough to defend that. And if things come out the other way, members of Congress are going to have to be tough enough to do the right accountability. I mean, I want an independent commission. Get it out of the politicians' hands and then tell Americans that we're going to look at whoever you are, whatever party, whatever gender, whoever you are. That's the problem in Congress. And I apologize to you, but I have to say, I have hope. I really do. I look at all these young men and women who are interested in being in Congress, who have great ideas and great attitudes and are trying to find ways to make a difference because we're a bit embarrassed of ourselves that we can't, nobody likes members of Congress. Because as a collective group, we have not really, I have some nerve being mad at the VA. As a collective group, we haven't done as much as I think we could. And so thank you for asking that question, and do have hope and ask members like me all the time. How many bipartisan areas are you working on? And what do you see as your biggest challenges? Because it will continue, because there'll be somebody in this job in 18, it won't be me. And you want someone, in my opinion, who's gonna put New Mexicans first, be really clear about their opportunities. And right now, in a majority, the only way I get a bill passed is I have to have a Republican. And so I work really hard to have good, positive, productive relationships on the other side. And they expect the same from me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for my knowledge.
My name is Janet, and I'm retired Air Force, and I want to thank you for your service, and I also hope to see you run for governor.
I am running for governor. I'm not allowed to do that. Maybe I'm a lunch. So that's why I can't run for Congress. And now we can't talk about that anymore.
Okay, it's just between you and me.
Okay.
So I'm born and bred in New Mexico. I'm from Raton originally, and I'd like to talk about the Real ID Act. So I'm glad to see that New Mexico is finally becoming compliant with it so that we can help our people get into federal buildings and such. The concern I have is I take care of my elderly mother, and she's ready to get her driver's license renewed. And what's happening with the elderly is their IDs do not match their birth certificate always. And mostly, especially with the elderlies. And I understand, and I read everything, that everything has to match, which I agree. But my mother and several elderly in the city of Raton have been told they have to legally change their name so that their birth certificate matches everything else. And I said, no, Mom, you have to change everything else to match your birth certificate. So it may take a trip to Social Security or to the utilities or your bank to get everything to match your birth certificate, but she said, no, that's not the way we're understanding it. So I did some questioning in Raton, and from what I've gathered, there's like 50 to 60 elderly people that have legally changed their names since this Real ID Act has come to play. Because, you know, like my father, his name was Alfred, he went by Pete. So these people are being told everything has to match up, but nobody's telling them, take your other IDs and match up with your.
I'll tell you another issue. God forbid older folks who stop driving, so they let their driver's licenses expired. But now you need an ID because you can't open up a savings account, you can't change banks, you can't make an airline, you can't do anything. It is impossible. These are the reasons that states like New Mexico fought against Real ID implementation, because getting it is not so easy. I'm going to call MVD, and I need to make sure I know how to get a hold of you. That is not how they should be doing it. That's absolutely wrong. And actually, really work with the state to create advocates, because it's has anybody tried to get their new license? Oh, it's a nightmare. They will send you back and forth 10 times. So I'm going to ask the governor, she's got to create a different way to do this, and she's got to have advocates. There was a proposal in the legislature to have it be done more automatically, and that got rejected. So there would be something that I think the state ought to be interested in looking at. But let's get clarification for Raton, and I'll try to figure it out for every other county.
I even called the judge's office, and I said, do you ask these elderly people why they're changing their name? And I was told that they're not allowed to ask. If somebody comes in and says, I want to change my name, they have to do what they're being asked to do. And it's like $400 to $500 to $600.
To change your name. No, that's outrageous. And I'm going to also go to the senior center there and ask them what they're doing. Okay. Thank you for raising that.
Thank you.
You're wonderful. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Michelle.
Hi.
First of all, I want to express my gratitude, and I know that's a pretty big word for what I'm going to discuss, that your office has been very helpful. The other offices and our other senators have not returned calls. They've never returned calls. Your office is the only one that has returned any of my calls since you were here in state and now that you're in Congress. I don't want to reiterate all the flaws that VA has, because I think my fellow Americans have said plenty. And I can add 46 years to it if you want, but I'll decline and just express what I came for this morning. I went up to VA. I was born in San Diego, California. My father was a sailor. I was born when my father was in Korea. He was in World War II, and he was in Vietnam 2 times. My brothers, which are 3, were all in Vietnam. I was in the U.S. Army for 3 years, 6 months, 13 days, and 45 minutes. Now, the person that mentioned drill sergeants, not all drill sergeants are bad people. We're all good people. We train our people to come back alive, and they know that if they don't, that their country will honor them for the sacrifice that they did. I've been coming to VA since I got out of the Army. I was 20 years old when I got out of the Army. I got hit twice. I've been blown up. I've been anything you can think of. But the thing that discouraged me the most is the other day when I went up to VA, handed the lady my card. She looks at the card, does her thing through the computer, and the only thing she could ask me was, "What's your first language?" If anybody here can tell me what my first language is, I surely would like to find out. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a United States of American citizen of Mexican descent who went to Vietnam for 22 months, 6 days, 45 minutes, and fought with all my brothers and sisters here. And I'll be damned if somebody's going to ask me at a VA hospital, "What's your first language?" And I told her straight out, and people know me at VA. I'm an outspoken person. When I think something's wrong, I'll say it. And if I think something's right, I'll say it. But this has got to stop. Because I look like this, what's my first language? Because I want to dress like this, what's my first language? I thought we still lived in the United States of America. But I'm going to tell you why I dress like this. Because I'm a reverend. And I've had help people since I've gotten out of the Army. I came out of the Army crazy. They handed me a pile of pills, told me to take care of yourself and report every 6 months. And I've been doing that for 46 years. And never in my whole life, my adult life, I've lived on the islands, I've lived in Okinawa, I've lived everywhere with my dad, plus my military service. And if there's anybody here that has experienced that, you need to put your foot down and say, "You know what? This is the United States of America, and I served proudly, and you are not the immigration." And that's what I told the lady. And everybody that knows the story knows that I told her. She threw the card at me, and she needs to be fired. Not yesterday, not this morning, but right now. Because we already have enough problems that we come back with, us veterans, that we have to fight through. I didn't get the care when I first came back, but you know what? I learned something, and I learned it from my dad. And I'm sorry that I'm going to say it like this, but this is the way I feel. The United States screwed my dad. My dad never got his VA benefits. He went through 3 wars. But I was bound and determined to get my benefits because I earned them, just like everybody else does here. That man right there that operates VA, one of the greatest men, he's a good man. His whole people up there are good people. That gentleman right here with the beard and the tie, when a PA told me that I was psychotic, I went up to the 4th floor, and this guy right here, just so happens, he's from El Paso, Texas. That's my adopted hometown, because I ain't never had a hometown. I've lived everywhere. But I've lived in Albuquerque since September the 15th, 1973, because I came to New Mexico as a missionary. All I gotta say is, VA is not the best hospital in the world, but I would rather go there than UNM. I would rather go there. I would rather trust them than I would any other hospital because they're good. As sure it takes time. You know how long it took me to get my benefits? You want me to tell you? 27 years. 27 years. Did they say, oh, sir, no. 27 years. But thanks to God I got them. Thanks to God that He showed me an outlet to where I didn't need to take pain pills. I didn't have to go to the mental institution like they wanted to send me to. Because God picked me up and He made me a reverend. And He made me a strong man that, sure, I have my difficulties, but I know where to go, and I know who to talk to, and I know what to tell them. I might look like this, but don't judge the book by its cover. I've been ordained since 1975. Everybody says I couldn't do it. Everybody said I didn't have the stamina. Everybody said that I didn't have the ability because I went to Vietnam and was a murderer. But somewhere, the man upstairs said, we're going to put you in another army, but I'm in God's army. But at the same time, I need to be reimbursed for the crap that I went through when I was in war with all my other friends. When I used to crawl in the tunnel rats. Well, I was in some of the biggest that you can think of. Another question to the gentleman in the middle. Your people are the most rudest people I've ever met in my life. That's why it took me 27 years to get my benefits. Because when we go up there, you people look at us and you think we're all nuts. You think we're all crazy. Well, don't be telling people that the government's going to take care of you if you go to war. I went twice. I didn't have to because my dad went. I didn't have to go in the military. But you know why I went? For right there. Every man that has stand here will tell you that's why we go. Because we want our voices heard. And we're not going to let nobody shut us down. You might shut us up. You might try to do your thing. But up there at VA downtown, your people don't talk to us. All they do is say, get on the computer. They don't want to. You have a man up there that I was up there the last time. Because I questioned him. He told Homeland Security, and they stopped me downstairs and asked me what my trouble was. And I told him my trouble is that VA up there is a crooked operation. Now, we're not talking about the hospital. We're talking about VA administration. And you people need to get your act together. You listen to these people. VA is supposed to have a place where these people and me can go and get information. Somebody said something here that is very true. When a Vietnam veteran or a Viet begins to talk, they gotta call cops. Well, you know what? I was an MP too, and that ain't much. But I'll tell you what, some of these people that call the cops need to get another job. Because, like the Congresswoman said, the hardest people to work with are sick people. The hardest people to deal with is people that are sick, financially strapped, and nobody is there to help them. That's why people get mad. That's why people get angry. And all I gotta say is thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Maybe you stop and come with us
Yes, I want to address the situation that you were just describing. Of course, I'm not aware of anything like that taking place, but I do have an office, and I got a lot of people in the office, and we do not tolerate that type of behavior. So I would love to speak to you after this a little bit more in detail. So if that's an issue, we definitely will fix it. Also in the back, you see the gentleman in the suit. He runs the operation. His name is Mr. Tim Love. He and I both believe in making sure we take care of our veterans. We both are veterans ourselves. And if you was treated that way, it's unacceptable. And I want to get to the bottom of it to make sure we resolve that.
I haven't been up there in 2 years because I don't want to. I've learned one thing since I've come back from Vietnam and gotten into the ministry. When you deal with fools, don't hang around them. And that's the way I feel about VA administration. It took them 27 years. And you know who got me my benefits? the old director of the medical center. He's the one that got, and you know what I was doing when I got my benefits? Bringing in other veterans off the streets because of my ministry, helping other people. But it was the ability of a gentleman, of medical doctors that helped me. I didn't ask them to. Just one day, they helped me, and I appreciate it very much. But as far as the VA downtown, man, you need to wipe that place out. You really do. You got people in there that are ex-military that walk around like they're, and deal with you like you're still in the military. You want to deal with me in the military, I'll put my uniform on, and I'll put my chaplain bars on, and we'll deal. But we're not in the military. We are civilians that are being repaid for something that we did for our country, which VA downstairs, downtown, I keep saying downtown, they don't care, man. And I have asked to talk to the director more than once, more than twice, more than ever. When I go up to VA Medical Center on the 4th floor, I don't have to ask to talk to the director. I walk in and they ask me, what can we do for you, Mr. Rodriguez? And I always tell them, don't call me Mr. and don't call me Sir. My name is William. And not one time, sir, have your people ever said, come on into the director's office. Not one time. And you know, I've been here since September 1983. Not one time. Okay.
William, thank you. So we'll do that. Get together.
I want to make sure we go back in the back and talk to the operation guys so we can make sure we get to the bottom of this. I'm not making any excuses for the VA, but I arrived here in December of last year. And since I've been here, I've seen every veteran who requests to see me. So if that has happened, I can't make any excuses for it, but I do want to get to the bottom of it so we can resolve that.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Tony, how are you?
Very good, Michelle, and yourself? First, I want to say that it's almost 45 years ago that I discharged from the U.S. Army. I served during the Vietnam era, and I was very fortunate, under the grace of God, I say, to have served in Germany. But I have to say, at that time, we did have the restrictions that would have kicked me out if people knew who I was. And I thank God that we had the administrations that did away with don't ask and don't tell, and that gay people can actually serve out and open. I'd like to back up a little bit and say that I have volunteered at the VA hospital in Tucson, and I have been a patient at the VA hospital here for the last 26 years. During that time, I've had 3 primary care physicians. My first PCP was a wonderful man, and I was very sad when he transitioned to another position in the hospital. But I know he was a great PCP, and he went on to do greater things. My next PCP, I did not care for it, and I actually think he was prejudiced, and I asked to get a new PCP, and I've been served very well with this doctor. I actually had a World War II vet that lived with us, with my husband and myself, his last years of life. And his last months of life, as he died of adrenal cancer, we went to the VA many, many times, and we had excellent care. I personally feel that I have been served by the VA hospital here very, very well. And I know that I'm maybe one of the abnormal ones, but I feel like we need to hear the good things. The next thought I'd like to say is, Michelle, there's only a short time you have left on Capitol Hill. And I know you've worked very hard. I've seen that light on in the rotunda. I've seen the light on the flag, and I know you're working. But I'd like to have some legislation perhaps to protect the transgender community, to protect them in the military, to give them the freedom and the allowance, if you will, to be safe and to serve there. Thank you.
You're welcome. I serve on the Equality Caucus, so I'll bring that to our next meeting.
I'm Sorry?
I serve on the Equality Caucus, who prioritizes legislation that you're just speaking about, and I will bring that to the caucus and see if we can't get it up to a higher priority.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hi.
Hi, Michelle. My name is Benny Archibald. I'm a native of Wickerkian, and I think one of the biggest issues in probably the world is healthcare. And I'm in favor of single payer, and I'd like your views on that, because I think a lot of people are going go bankrupt. When I was 17, I had a neighbor that used to tell me, the first half of your life you work like hell to try to have something, and the second half you give it to the doctors. So I'd like to know how you feel.
Yeah, for a long time, New Mexico and other states led. We did it again this year. We tried to get a study for single payer, New Mexico, moving to the Healthcare Security Act, actually. And so I was a critic in this way. We haven't put any money into infrastructure in healthcare, so we don't, and Congress does this. There aren't enough doctors. We control how many there are. We don't allow for an affordable medical education. We don't allow enough ancillary providers to get through school. We don't create enough community health clinics and such. So I was always worried that if you went immediately to a single payer, it'd be just like the frustrating things you hear about veterans. There aren't enough providers to meet the needs. Now let me go to the other side. This system, where we continue to try to work with for-profit insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies who have no incentive to make it affordable, accountable, and effective. None. And in fact, in the new healthcare bill before Congress, why are we giving a tax break to a CEO of an insurance company that makes millions of dollars? I don't even understand it. How can you even propose that inside a healthcare bill? It's a $600 billion benefit to industries that are not incentivized to make healthcare affordable. And it's not sustainable in this system. Given that, and that's where we continue to go, I actually want to tell you what I think will happen, and I would be in favor of that. I think we are a decade away at best. It is not sustainable, it is not affordable. We're going to take Medicare and Medicaid and veterans and TRICARE. We're the only country that has 8 independent systems of healthcare that we're all trying to fund and fight over, and that we all get lost in that process. It does not work. And I don't have evidence, so I want you to take this with a grain of salt. I believe that the industry knows that's coming. And as a result, they're working really hard to make as much money as they can in the interim, which disturbs me to no end. Again, I don't have the facts to bear out my opinion. I don't have in fact, that would be illegal, it's collusion, it would be unfair, but it feels that way to me, doesn't it?
Follow the money.
Yeah, it feels that way to me. So here's something that we can do as New Mexicans. States can really move the needle towards getting Congress where they need to be on healthcare issues. Hawaii's doing it again. The Affordable Care Act really is a more Republican idea using insurance companies that came out of Massachusetts. There they call it Romney Care. So states are going to keep moving. And I wish that the Senate hadn't taken out the public option of the Affordable Care Act, because states would be further along, I think. But today, I don't believe that we can continue tweaking the most complicated healthcare system in the world and make it affordable with profit as the motivating factor here. So
Well,
I'm with you.
I understand that there are no free meals. Somebody's got to pay for it. But I, for one, would be willing to pay more tax and have everyone insured to where you would just walk in the hospital, they wouldn't ask your name, or you just get service.
What's really hard here is we have the worst outcomes in the world for an industrialized nation, and we spend more. So somebody needs to be making the argument about why we would have to pay more for a system that's doing so poorly. So we got a lot of work to do, but hearing from you makes a difference to me and helps me think about ways to get this country to move towards a healthcare system that's going to make more sense for all of us, because it's precarious. And again, I mentioned the long-term care issue. Listen, the debates and the concerns and the outright disputes about healthcare we're having in this country are a walk in the park compared to the long-term care issues that we are staring down in this country that have not addressed at all. So I appreciate your opinion and your work.
I feel that that should be the number one issue, because without health care, without health, we've got nothing. No
And
one
I'm
has
really
any-
against the current health care bill. I need as many New Mexicans and as many people in this country saying this is not right. I've been in health care for 30 years, and this is the worst proposal by any Congress in my professional career working on health care issues, by far. And so I'm rallied against it, and I am fired up and ready to go. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Stacia Kinsakia. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Navy, the Indiana Army National Guard, and Army Reserves.
Thank you.
I want to personally thank you. I won't get too personal because I know we've been here for a long time, but your office, and especially John Moore, has assisted me in getting some answers about a potential breast cancer issue. I wanted to address the practitioners that I've had at the VA. About 90 to 95% of my care has been absolutely outstanding. But the 5 to 10% of the care that I've actually had to push forward for issues that have either caused me great emotional strain and